What's up guys, my name is Andy. I'm gonna do a super easy upgrade to my truck by taking out the factory alternator and replacing it with a one-wire. It is as simple as it sounds. It's just one wire that goes from the back of the alternator to the starter solenoid because it's internally regulated, so we don't have to worry about any other wiring. And all the other wiring you have in your truck, you can leave it there or take it out. Doesn't matter because this takes care of all that. And it's just a couple of bolts and hook a wire up and you're done. It's that simple. And I'm gonna do all that wearing my new F100 shirt. She's perfect. That's a new shirt I have on my truck here. It's just a collage of pictures of the truck. I like it how she is. She's perfect on the outside. I want to upgrade all stuff underneath the skin, but on the outside I want to leave it just how it is. So that's why I got this shirt, because she's perfect. So what I went with is a Tough Stuff 100 amp alternator. There's the part number if you guys need that. And this is just something that will bolt right into the factory location, and they don't have to get any extra brackets or anything like that. This will fit right where it's supposed to be, and it's going to mount in the truck just like this. And then on the back, we've got this one terminal, and we'll take a wire from here and go over to the starter solenoid. And the wire that I originally got for it was this guy from Tough Stuff. I figured I'd just buy the pair, but this is an 8-gauge wire, and it'll probably be fine. This is a 100 amp output. I doubt I'll ever need to get, that kind of amperage out of this thing based on what's running on the truck. But this is at the limit. This is the limit of what you'd want to run 100 amps through, and of course the distance makes a big difference. We're not going very far, but I decided, you know what, I just don't want to use that. And so I went down to Napa and just got a larger battery cable. This is a larger gauge, so this will work. It's probably a little too long. I didn't think about measuring before I got it, but this will be what we want to do. And this is plenty thick enough to hold the amperage. We're going to go from the alternator to the starter solenoid, which ultimately then touches back to the battery. So cool. So it's just going to be this simple. We're going to take the other one out, put this one in, and then we're done. So let's get started. This is definitely one of those projects where you're going to want to take the negative terminal off the battery just so we don't touch anything. And then we can leave that there. And now we're going to go after the alternator. So we only need 2 sizes. For this, we need a 9/16 socket for the top bolt. And this will loosen up the alternator. We can pivot it and get the belt off. And then it's just a 5/8 socket for the lower bolt. Some of you may have trouble getting this bolt out. It was just stuck inside the alternator for me, but just gonna have to work on it a little bit. Okay, so now what I need to do is take this off that terminal and take these terminals off. All right, this uses a combination of 3/8 and 7/16 nuts for the various terminals and pieces on here. But we don't need to worry about where they go because we're not going to hook up any of that wiring back onto this alternator. So now what do I do with all this wiring that's in here? I've got a ground wire down here. I can just take that off. I don't need to use that. You could connect that to the back of the alternator for a ground, but the block is sufficiently grounded, so I don't really need it, but you can do it if you want. The rest of this wiring, because I'm not using the voltage regulator anymore, which is sitting right here, you can disconnect all this stuff and take it out. I'm going to rewire the truck down the road, so I'm just going to tuck it off I'm going to tape off the terminals just in case nothing touches anything. There's no reason for me to pull it out yet because I'm going to do a whole wiring job on the truck and I'm going to pull the wiring then. But for you guys, you could just unplug this voltage, the wiring harness from the voltage regulator and disconnect it from the starter solenoid, and there you go. You don't need any of it, but I'm just going to move it to the side for now so we can get ready for the new alternator. Now that I got all the wires tucked out of the way, again, I'm going to deal with those later. I got the terminal wire on here that's going to go to the starter solenoid, but I need to get this thing put into the truck here. And what we want to do is we're going to use that same bolt that we took out before. Run that all the way through. And then Ford does this awesome thing where they've got this spacer piece that goes in between the back of the alternator and the block. And mine was all coated in grease and muck and 55 years of sludge. So I went ahead and cleaned it off. I hope the wife doesn't see this. I cleaned it off in the sink. She might get mad at me for that. Now this bolt is kind of hard to put in there, so I'm going to use just a driver here just to kind of sink that thing down all the way. Get it in all the way. There we go. Now I don't want to tighten it all the way because we got to be able to pivot this still, but okay, never mind. I take it back out because I got the back of the alternator stuck underneath this tubing on the manifold. And now that I got it moved it up into place here, notice that, see back there, that terminal, it's kind of hard to see the camera here, but this wire is touching the exhaust tubing back there, and I don't want that to arc, so I'm gonna have to pivot, see if I can rotate the housing assembly to get that wire to get moved to a different spot. All right, so I clocked the back of this alternator just so I can get this terminal in a place where it doesn't rub on my exhaust manifold down there. And you just take these 4 bolts out. Make sure you don't pull the cap off. Just take the 4 bolts out and then you can spin it, whether it's 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever you need to do to get the terminals in the right spot, and then you just put the 4 bolts back in. If you take this off, you'll disconnect parts inside there. I may or may not have done that on a different vehicle and learned the hard way. So yeah. 4 bolts, spin it, put the 4 bolts back in, make sure you keep this thing sandwiched the whole time. Cool, so now I can go ahead and put this in, and this should clear that exhaust manifold. All right, now that we got that bottom bolt in, that's kind of a pain. If you tilt it to the side, you can put that sleeve on the end of the bolt and feed it into the block, and just a little bit of patience and you'll get that one. Put this top one on here. Now we need to put the belt back on and pull this guy tight. You don't want to tighten this one all the way down yet. Get this thing tight, then you can come back and tighten that guy up, because we need to be able to pivot with this thing to get everything tight. So if that's too tight down here on the bottom, then it won't allow you to pivot this thing to get everything set up top. Now I'm noticing on this that I'm at the end of the adjustment here. I need to get a new belt. This belt needs to be replaced anyways, but probably should go like one size smaller on belt so that I get a little more adjustment up here. But now we can finish tightening this belt, this bolt at the bottom. Now if we look on the back here, this terminal's not touching anything. And this is a good idea to have one of those boots, like those rubber boots, kind of like what was on the other wire that I bought, like this style, because it just protects that terminal. And so again, this would have been a good wire to use. I just think I'm at the limits of what the size can handle for the amount of amperage. So this will be fine, it's not touching anything, but just be mindful of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and just finish tightening down this nut on this terminal here. So now we're on the tail end of this thing. I just gotta connect this wire to the starter terminal here, this side of the starter solenoid, and partly because this is the same side that the battery's connected to, and that's what we want. And again, see, I was telling you before that I think I got too long of a wire. It's fine, it just looks a little silly being this big, but this long. Really, that's all I needed. And you could buy whatever color. They also have black. I just think the red's good because it kind of tells me that it's the positive side and stuff. But yeah, this will be fine. And just like that, we've got ourselves a one-wire alternator installed. Again, you can kind of figure out what you want to do with the wiring, you know, what works best for your routing and that kind of stuff. You could put some loom over this to kind of cover it, make it look a little nicer. I got to figure something else because I don't really like how it is right there, but that's okay. It'll work. This little thing will do what we want. So yeah, all right. So guys, one-wire alternator, very easy to install. You can take it as far as you want to go in terms of creativity when how you wire stuff and tuck wires in. But now that wire harness is done, that's something that I struggled with on my Mustang. Is I was just curious, how does that work? How does the wiring work? How do you not use all that wiring that goes up from the voltage regulator up into the dash? How does that not feed everything that it needs to feed? And it works. This is exactly as simple. All of this wiring that I disconnected, you can leave it there, which I'm doing for now, or you can just unplug everything and clean it all up. Whatever you'd like to do, it's gonna be fine. Like I said, I want to rewire the truck, so I think then I'm gonna start tackling and figuring out what wires go where, and when I rewire stuff, I'll know, you know, that somebody didn't splice into something to power something else or whatever, and I would probably be fine, but I just don't want to risk it right now, so I'm happy. This is the kind of thing that is just an easy install. It doesn't get much easier than this. I mean, the only thing I struggled with was getting that bolt, that bottom bolt out of the bottom alternator, trying to pull that out of the block and through the alternator, which was just silly. And then of course, clocking that alternator. You guys may have to do that with your setup. Different blocks have different things in the way. If I didn't have this whole manifold thing in here, I might've been able to just leave the alternator the way it was and it would have been just fine. But we'll see how it goes for you guys' car, and it should be just as easy, and I'm anxious for you guys to just have something easy like this. This is an awesome, easy upgrade. That's it, guys. And then, oh, don't forget, again, if you guys are looking for a shirt to to work on the truck in, right? The KruseBuilt, she's perfect truck, because she's perfect. And I'm happy to have this truck, and I'm anxious to do more stuff with it. So anyways, all right guys, that's it. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.